Hello and welcome to today's show, the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones, and I'm so glad that you have tuned in today. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it's Friday, Freedom Friday. I thank God that we've made it to the end of the week. I'm sure we all have some things that we all have came through, and thank God we can woosah and get a break. We also here in Texas are getting ready to approach spring break for the kiddos, and that's another, that's another thing we have to worry, not worry, but prepare and make sure we got the kids taken care of, giving them something to do during the summertime. And at least you can take a break off from not having to get up early in the morning and do all the morning duties with preparing their lunches and making sure they're ready for school. So thank God we all can get a break in that sense, right? And try to enjoy yourself during spring break. So again, like I say, welcome, welcome, welcome to our show. I always know, anybody knows that watch the show, that before I start any segment, I always want to give out. I just want to thank God for waking us up this morning, right? I want to thank God for allowing us to be on this side of the earth. I want to thank God for letting us be in the land of the living. It's a new day, it's a new chance, it's another opportunity to get it right. I thank God every morning for brand new grace and mercy. You can't take nothing for granted. The world that we're living in today, with so much taking place, any opportunity you can get to thank God for letting you still be here, to survive, to thrive, to still be trying. We're all work in progress, right? So it's just a blessing to see another day to try to get it right. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. I just want to also tell you happy International Women's Day. I don't know if you know that or not, but yes, today is Happy Women's International Day, and it just made me think about, so much that we do as women. We always multitasking. We always, like I said, getting the kids ready for school, making sure they have everything they need for their homework assignments or class projects, just being at home, fixing the food, washing the clothes, being mom, doing mom duties, So I just thank God that He gives us the strength to be able to do that. And sometimes it's just good to acknowledge yourself. Sometimes you have to pat your own self on the back, because if you really think about all that you do on a regular basis, it's not easy, but always God makes a way for you to come through and do things that you need to get things done, right? So I want to definitely tell you that today is Happy International Women's Day. So make sure you take a little time out for yourself. Make sure you put your feet up somewhere today or tomorrow, maybe watching a Netflix and your recliner hanging out, getting that favorite mocha drink, Starbucks, or we even have Dutch. I think is it Dutch? But y'all ever come to Texas? Listen, those are some of the best drinks. My son loves to go there to get those drinks. They're so good and tasteful. So, but yes, with that being said, I just want to say, yes, Freedom Friday. We've made it to another end of the week as we're getting ready to approach spring break. And with that, a lot of times people are out. You might be out and about with your kids. You have to go to the doctors, or you may have to try to catch up on doctor's appointments. Just be mindful. The whole point of this show is to help families be prepared in case CPS ever enters in your life. Frankly, they won't. But I can tell you that that is normally one of the places where CPS investigations come about, right? Is at doctor's offices. Some are even at schools, different places that these CPS investigations are normally accumulated. You can also even being around family or exes, someone that may be estranged, even something they may have against you that's malicious or spiteful, or something you did made them mad, or the relationship ended, or just whatever. Again, it could be a family member, just somebody who don't like you and just trying to get back at you. Unfortunately, sometimes they do utilize CPS as a weapon. So with that being said, it just, I pray and hope that you be on your P's and Q's. Make sure your babies are fully taken care of. Make sure if you go into those doctor's appointments, make sure you pay attention to how they're dressed. In Texas, it has been really, really raining. Today is beautiful outside, and we actually got some sunshine, and the sun is coming through the clouds, and it's turning out to be a beautiful day. But before that, it was really, really cold. So, like I say, just make sure you bundle up with your kids, because sometimes the least little things that when you bring those your children into the doctor's office, they can maybe use something that they see that the child is not dressed properly, or the least bruise or scratch or something like that. They can try to create a CPS investigation. And a lot of times, sadly, some of the guests that we've had on the show, they've actually shared when CPS entered in at the baby's doctor's appointments, or the parents might have been just taking the kids up for like a regular checkup. If the CPS was called out, unfortunately, sometimes they don't come home with their children. So that's the reason why I like to mention that, because I know the importance of it, with making sure that, you're being just very precautious, because that's normally where a lot of the CPS calls come about, is at doctor's appointments, at hospitals, even like I said, at schools. It can be, at the school where, whatever reason, if a parent, not a parent, but a teacher or the teaching staff may feel some type of indication for whatever reason, don't be surprised that if they make a CPS call as well, because it happens at schools as well. These are some of the normal common places where CPS investigations are created. So, with that being said, I just want to tell you that, I tell people, I'm no attorney. I am a parent. I am a mother who did overcome CPS. Yes, I survived CPS and I overcame CPS. And the judge ordered CPS to return my child back home where he belonged years ago. Okay. And so I am here to share my experience. When I first interviewed with Attorney Vance, he did say, "You are a veteran," and he would like me to come on and to share my experience, what I went through with CPS. And normally, 9 times out of 10, someone that has personally been affected by something, it creates a new set of eyes for them, right? It's different when you've been through something personally. You can tell somebody something all day long, but until they have sat in your seat, until they have wore your shoes, sometimes it feel like you're speaking to someone who can't relate. But when you have sat in those benches, when you have been doing those service plans, when you have been out to um, going to watch the parenting classes, watching videotapes, or whatever your caseworker have you doing. Now, speaking of videotapes, I'm telling you, this was years ago when I had my CPS case, but one of my parenting classes was to go and watch a VHS tape. The movie, like, it was about 15 or 20 years old. And I'm not trying to be funny, but what I was watching on that video, I did not see any kind of way how that made any sense, or the reason why I was there. I looked at it as busy work, honestly. But guess what? I still did what they asked me to do, because I look at it like this. I knew at the back of my mind that at the end of the day, my child was coming home, and I was doing willing to do whatever it took to make sure that that happened. I had a caseworker that lacked integrity, that told me, why don't you go on with your life? Why don't you, isn't it some other hobbies or something else you want to do with your life? And I can understand you telling me that if I was thinking about becoming a farmer, or buying a hamster or something I've never done before. But we are literally talking about legacy here. We are talking about a heart and soul. We are talking about, someone that's going to continue my name on when God calls me home. So your children are a very important investment. Your children are the most important asset that you're going to have. So I immediately responded and told her, no, there's absolutely no other hobbies that I would like to do. The only thing that I like to do is to get my child back home where he belongs. And once my child is returned back home, then yes, I will go ahead and pursue other hobbies if necessary. At that time, after my child is returned back. So at that time, nothing was more important to me than making sure my child was out of that broken, corrupt system. Okay. And I say that to say this: be very mindful of the information that you share with your caseworkers. I have spoken to several families that sometimes it not actually, I hate to say it's probably higher than sometimes, but where a lot of times they take what you say and use it against you. Okay. You might just thinking you're just having a regular conversation. Oh, I'm just gonna spill the tea, or I'm just gonna kick back and relax and share some things with this caseworker to make her feel comfortable, to make her feel at home, but not knowing all along that those same words that you're using can be the very same words that she's going to use against you in your case. So please be very mindful of the information that you share. And actually, I will take a step further. Again, I am no attorney, but I am a mom that went through CPS, and by the grace and mercy of God, I was able to not only survive CPS, but I overcame CPS. And everything they tried to do to me, it did not work. My attorney said, "You know what? I know you got to be praying to God." Because I'm literally looking at the paperwork of things they submitted, and she was doing discoveries, as she was doing being an attorney and representing us, and she did it very skillfully. She shared with me everything that they were trying to do to me. Nothing was working. And that's why I tell anybody, I wouldn't dare know or experience what I personally went through with CPS and not tell you not to get wise legal counsel, because I do believe God put attorneys in positions for a reason, just like he put doctors in positions for a reason, that they go to school to learn the knowledge, to learn the experience, what it takes to what? To win your case, to beat CPS so your children can come back home. I was speaking to a mother, I want to say, if not yesterday, but the day before. She shared that the attorney that she was going through, they don't believe that they knew CPS laws. The beautiful thing is, Attorney Vince, the platform that we're on today, that I'm speaking from, is that from my understanding, he's been an attorney fighting CPS for 40 years or so or longer. So that is so vital to have an attorney that has that type of experience, that knows CPS laws and knows what it takes to fight CPS so your children can what? Come back home where they belong. So please, I tell anybody, try to reach Attorney Vance, see if he can be your legal wise attorney to help you win back your children. If you can't get Attorney Vance, please seek an attorney that knows CPS laws, that are aggressive, and that's willing to do the work, which is to fight, to fight, to fight until your children are back home where they belong. Okay. That's very, very important. That's anything. If you're going to get ready to do a procedure, if you're going to get ready to maybe do remodeling to your home, right? If you're looking for another vehicle, you just don't go to the first person you come to, right? You normally kind of search around a little bit. You do, you maybe kind of compare different things, or look at the different qualifications, the criteria, see how long this person been working in the business, how long have this car been on the market, who is the previous owners of the car, have the car been in any other previous incidents or accidents. So it's the same thing with an attorney. If you think about it, you want to make sure, especially when it's dealing with your children, well, your most valuable asset. So you're not going to take that lightly, right? You're going to make sure you have an attorney that is skillful, that is qualified, that knows CPS laws, and that are willing to do the work for you. So the same thing applies if you think about it. Anything that's worth having is what is worth fighting for. It might require you to, do a little bit more research, to do a little bit observations. We're looking for that person. I believe, I heard Attorney Vince mention that you might have to go through several attorneys before you find the right one. And prayerfully, if you found one such as Attorney Vince that has experience already working with CPS and knowing the laws and how to fight against CPS, you might be able to just right then and there, if he's available, to go ahead and hire him to go ahead and hurry up to speed up the process for your children to be returned back home, right? So again, I know that's true because I can tell you, years ago when I was fighting my CPS case, I literally went through 5 attorneys. Yes, five. 5 attorneys I went through. And why did I do that? It's because I wanted to make sure I had the right attorney that was best for me. I had the attorney where we both understood what the assignment was, and that was to make sure my child is returned back from CPS, this vicious, broken system. Please do not misconstrue my wording. I do know personally that there are some good people that work for CPS, right? There are some good people that it's really in to making sure that you and your children are reunified. And if they're doing that, they're bringing on reunification for your child to be returned home. You're doing the visits. You even get to a point where your visits are unsupervised. You can see the progress. You can see things are going and working out for you in the best light, right? Where you can see where your child is getting ready to be returned home. And it seemed like your caseworker is operating out of integrity, and she's doing everything she can to make sure that that happens. I'm not speaking to those type of people. I am speaking to people that works for CPS who lacks integrity. I am speaking to people that work for CPS who is mostly into it for money, power, and politics, right? Those three things. You know, they're on a power trip. They're throwing their weight around. You know, it just seems like they're not listening to you. They're not taking you serious. You don't see any progress being made in your case. Because I know here in Texas, and I know each state is different, right? But I want to say here in Texas, if you're not at a place where your child is to be returned back home within 12 months or so, a year or so, you can actually just lose your children to the system due to the time clock that they've given you to make sure your kids are out of CPS in 12 months. And a lot of times, unfortunately, if they're not out in that time frame, CPS can automatically keep your children. That's how important this is. And each state laws I know are different. So again, I'm no attorney. That is definitely why you will want to seek wise legal counsel like Attorney Vince, or an attorney that knows, you know, what state you're in and know what laws and what time frame you have to get this case resolved so your children can be returned back home to you. It's so very important. I honestly always thought that was weird that this on a time clock, something so significant, so life changing, you know, something so serious that they give you a time clock like a video game, or you know, or something like that, like I say, a game. Like life is a game. Like if you don't get your children back by the time the timer is off, you automatically keep them. And to me, I just honestly, I think that's one of the laws that need to be changed as well. Because why? Life happens, right? Life be lifing. You could be doing everything that they've asked you to do, and at the last minute, something has changed, something has shifted. Maybe your caseworker has changed. Maybe she's implemented new things for you to do, and it's requiring more time. Maybe you have to make adjustments to the new things that she's giving you to do. So again, life be happening. It happens to the best of us, so things changes. So I just think by putting those type of responsibilities on a parent that is trying to do all they can to get their children back, even though something might have occurred, they shouldn't still be able to lose their children because of the time clock that they're on that CPS gives. Okay, that's just my 2 cents. I just think as I witnessed that, that was very, very stressful to me. And to me, if you're doing the work and you know life changes and things may occur, I think that time should adjust accordingly to that. That's just what I'm just saying. Okay. So again, like I said, I've personally been through CPS. My heart goes out to families that are trying to figure this out, right? Because guess what? It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, sometimes you seem like you're in over your head. Sometimes it seems like you're wondering, is there going to ever be a light at the end of this tunnel? You know, you long for your children. You walk in those rooms, you don't smell their scent, or you don't see their favorite toy on the floor. You just don't even see their face, you know, or the clothes, the last thing they wore could still be in their room. You know, it's an emotional time that, you know, you go through dealing with CPS, you know, emotional, it's mental, it's physical, it's financial. I actually think it's also spiritual. I really do. I can assure you, and I am not ashamed to say this, and I'm not only saying this because it happened, but I'm saying this because I think a lot of parents don't know. From my experience, it was also spiritual. To me, it was a lot of darkness, and I don't mean just the color. I mean darkness that's dealing with the enemy, the devil. I think, you know, like I say, a lot of times, you know, these kids are taken away. Statistics shows that most children, or not all, that are placed in child protective services where they have to be placed in foster homes, a lot of time these children are worse off than they are being at home with their family. So with that being said, I would like to share any family, whether you an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a close friend, a grandma, a grandpa, if you have a family that is going through CPS and they need some help, please help them at this time. You have no idea the amount of weight that they're taking on, that they're going through, you know. And if you could just say, hey, I have an open door. Hey, you know, we're getting ready to approach spring break, you know, if that's the case where you're located at. If you just need me to let the kids come stay with me, I'm willing to do so. You have no idea how that can really not only help that parent, but think about it. You're helping that child. That child don't have to go into an environment that they don't know. They don't have to go into an environment that could be, detrimental to their lives. A lot of kids, and sometimes, and I won't say sometimes, but more often than less, you have children that may be being raped, maybe being molested. I know these are serious, dark topics, right, that I'm speaking on now, but it's the truth. I know someone personally that when they were in CPS and then they were placed in foster care, the foster parents at that time who lacked integrity would not allow him to sleep on top of the bed. He could only sleep under the bed in the foster home. Even with eating, he couldn't, I don't think some of the food, a lot of kids, sometimes I've heard parents say that their children, when they got back home, they ate a whole lot because a lot of times, unfortunately, when they're in these other unknown environments, maybe they're not feeding the children like they should. Like I say, this particular person, he couldn't sleep in the bed in the foster home. He could only sleep under the bed. Can you imagine as a child, you're in this strange, foreign environment, away from your family, away from everybody, everyone you know and you love, and the house you're in now, you can only sleep under the bed. Can you imagine if you just take a minute and think about how that child felt? And honestly, I can tell you to this day, I think he's still messed up behind it, and he's in his 50s. So this is something that is so detrimental that it never fully goes away, right? I can tell you by the grace and mercy of God, yes, God brought us out. He delivered us. From what the darkness was trying to do to me and my child, right? He healed and delivered us out of that darkness. I do believe it is darkness. I truly do. Everybody have different beliefs. That's my belief. I'm a belief in Christ. I'm not ashamed of it. I love God because He has strengthened me to go through CPS. He has strengthened me to have discernment, to have revelation, to have understanding. Like I say, my attorney told me everything they tried to do to you, nothing worked. And trust me, they tried a lot of things. Okay. They tried a lot of stuff, but by the grace and mercy of God, nothing worked. And I'm sure that they just probably knew that they had me and things that they were doing. I noticed it was personal. It was very personal. It was very biased. It was very, even someone that worked for CPS say they're violating your rights. So they did all that. But guess what? God knew, my God, that once I showed that I can trust Him, that I would put Him first, even going through the lowest of the valleys, even going through the darkness of everything I was going through, everything I owned. It was like the story of Job. Like I saw it just leaving in front of my very eyes. But God, sometimes He would take you through a test. He would take you through a test to see if He can trust you. He would take you through the test to see if you will put Him first. And I assure you, with everything going on wrong in my life, I still believed in God. They might have took away everything I had, but guess what? The one thing that they did not and they could not take away was my faith in God. And I'm telling you, I assure you, that is what kept me going. Nothing else kept me going but my faith and my trust in God. It gave me the strength. It gave me wisdom. It gave me knowledge. I was smiling, even I was waiting for those court hearings. And we all know, right? There are several court hearings, nearly a year worth it was for me. And I just was sitting there and read my books. I would read my books. I would do whatever it took to keep my peace, to keep my balance. That's needed when you're dealing with so many things emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. That can all affect you, right? And take you down in depression and anxiety and stress. And you can, sometimes I think if you're not careful, you can lose it. You can break even. And psychologically, really, to me, from my own personal experience, I think it's set up and to a certain degree for you to break, because that's not common for you to have to deal with so much different things that they take you through, right? Or accusations. Some of the things might be true, some may not be true. But with CPS, to me, it seems like everybody is seen guilty until you can prove that you're not. I've had people that told me before, hey, I'm no longer on drugs, and all my tests are coming back showing I'm not on drugs, but they're still holding to me as if I'm a drug addict. Just the stress, just the pressure. My grandmother, Rosalie Jones, who God blessed to be here 106 years, who raised me, she told me, Trika, a lot of times people break just because of the pressure. So psychologically, things are in place to make you do that. That's why I say it takes having faith and a higher being in God to make sense of it all, to give you that balance, to give you that I can make it in spite of so much I'm going through. You got to have a stronger anchor. And us as people, we get tired. We're human, right? Nobody's perfect but Jesus, like I shared before. And just tapping into his strength, even when your strength is weak. When my strength was low a lot of times dealing with CPS, but it says in the word that God will give us strength when we're weak, when we're low. And his strength is strong. It's, it can fight giants. It fought CPS for me. Guess what? That giant with CPS, giants do fall. The judge ordered CPS to return my child back home where he belonged. And I'm telling you, if God had not given me the strength to overcome and the strategies and the wisdom, I knew to hire an attorney. I knew the first time I took on CPS, I'm like, okay, I could comprehend pretty well. I could do this. And y'all, when I read all that stuff that was in those packets and documents and this and that and all this kind of stuff, I had no idea what I was reading. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I literally remember from years ago around CPS, all those people that was in those courtrooms. And I mean, it was a group of people, caseworkers, CPS attorneys, CPS staff members. I mean, it was probably about 15 people, right, all together. And it was only me, right, against the government. And literally, I remember them laughing, from a distance, laughing, or, I could just feel the energy that they're probably like, she have no idea what she's doing. And guess what? I didn't. And I know it showed. So I knew immediately. How sometimes you realize that maybe I'm in over my head on this one. Okay, this is outside of my pay grade. So I thank God for wisdom. I say that to say, I thank God for wisdom. I thank God for discernment. And I realized at that time what I needed to get somebody to help me fight this giant, which was CPS. Because guess what? They have legal representation. Okay. They have what they need to fight against you. So why would you not have what you need to fight against CPS? Let me say that again in case you didn't hear me the first time. CPS, they have legal representation that's going to be fighting against you. Okay. That's going to be representing CPS against you. Why would you go into something that has legal representation to fight you and try to keep your kids away from you and you not have representation? Think about it. Okay, that won't be that just doesn't make sense, does it? I remember even after I tried to represent myself, I have to share this, and I won't be before you long, but I want to tell you that when I realized I couldn't do it, so I said, let me get a pro bono attorney. And these attorneys are normally free, right? Okay, with this particular attorney, I noticed one, I think I very first time speaking, she shared with me, and I listened because, you want to be all in to know what's going on regarding these cases regarding your children, right? But I definitely remember her telling me the worst case scenario, okay? And she said this from the jump and not really, saying too much else. She said, well, just look at it like this. If you don't win, your child will be adopted out, and maybe you can see him from time to time. And I politely told her, thank you for your time. Okay. Thank you for your time. But at that time, okay, I knew that I was with the wrong person. Okay. Because I'm trying to understand how can you fully represent me when you've already told me that if you don't get them back, they'll be adopted out and maybe you can maybe visit them. Okay. We're not talking about a goldfish. We're not talking about, my old mittens when I was in the fifth grade. We're talking about a heart and soul, which is my child, okay, which is legacy. And at that time, I told her, thank you, but no thank you, okay? So with that being said, I had to just what? Do the work. I had to look for another attorney. And by the grace and mercy of God, that God allowed me to come across an attorney that was able to obviously do the job and prove to CPS things that they were doing wrong. I had no idea, guys, that they were even doing. Actually, honestly, I think from what the verdict was, it was actually illegal. Well, I won't say illegal, but I will say it's no way they should have placed my child with that person with the charges that was against that person. And like my attorney pointed out, that they were charges that they found them guilty of. Okay. And when the judge heard that and reviewed what my attorney presented, guess what? My children were ordered to be returned back home, and CPS didn't say anything else. So again, that's why I say I strongly recommend, if you can, to get an attorney. I know things are not cheap, but guess what? Nothing in this world we're living in now, everything's expensive. Listen, I was getting something to eat early, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And she said, yes, everything is so expensive, and it is. So that's just the way the world we're living in, right? So what is the most valuable thing you're going to ever have is your children, your legacy. So they're worth fighting for. They're worth paying for to get that legal wise counsel to help you bring your children back home where they belong. I assure you, as I was going through my CPS case, and I was like, God, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I'm in over my head. I'm stressed out. I'm tired. I've never seen nothing like this, what I'm dealing with now. And it's like the more and more you get involved in CPS, and the more you, the longer you stay in it, the worse it seems to be getting. And I never will forget, I had got a call from my church, and it was like, well, we want you to come out and speak to the women in the church. I'm like, you know what? You might want to call somebody else right now, because I need somebody to speak to me right now. But God works in mysterious ways. And I say that to say this: even though I was broken at the time, going through so much heartbreak with CPS, taking everything I loved, I cared about, and was gone, right? Like Job in the book of Job in the Bible. But I, even with through all that, when the church called me and said, hey, but can we usually come speak to these ladies? Even though I needed somebody to be speaking to me from all the hurt I was going through. But guess what? I still got up and made a way to go to their church and to speak to those women and men, shared what I was going through. I encouraged them the best I could. And I'm going to tell you, that was the best time that I had ever experienced, just being in true worship, just being in a place where people were just really trying to encourage each other and strengthen each other with so much adversity that we all were going through at the time, different challenges. Okay. So again, you never know what words that you speak can help set somebody free or deliver them from, no matter what hurt or pain that they might be going through. They might not be openly and tell you about it. People be smiling sometimes really on the inside when they're literally dying. So you just never know what you speak into someone's life, how it can help give them hope, encouragement, how it can speak life into them and not death. Okay. So that again showed me the power of our words. And I believe God was showing me, if I can use you while you're in the storm, while you in your valley, and you're still willing to encourage people and speak to people, and even you don't know how you're going to make it out of this, even though you don't know how things are going to occur or going to come out, but you're showing your trust in me. That could have been a test, y'all, showing God that I trust him, because I do, right? And he was able to use me for that. And guess what? Maybe that's why I'm sitting in front of you today. I came out of what I was in with CPS. And I'm out to tell you still the same thing. Nothing has changed. The same God that delivered me out back then is the same God that can deliver you out today. Okay. Because he's the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. So don't you never quit. Don't you never give up fighting for your children. Know that God can do anything. God can do the unthinkable. God can do the impossible. There is nothing too hard for God. Now, man, women, as us as women, again, we might get tired, we might get weak, but like my grandmother always say, you might give out, but don't never give up. And that's the difference. Okay. You have to continue to press on in spite of how it might feel or how it might look. Just know that it's not over yet. Do not put a period where there should be a comma. Why? Because God is not done writing your story. God have me here today to encourage you to get up, to keep fighting. Don't quit. Do your services. Pull yourself up, okay? No matter what you're going through. Yes, it can be stressful. You might have to cry sometimes. Go ahead and cry, but go wash your face back off and get back in the ring. Get back in the game. Check around on CPS attorneys, some wise counsels. Don't be discouraged. You never know. You might reach an attorney, reach out to attorney Vince. He might can help you. You just never know. Action speaks louder than words. Once people see that you're really trying, you're showing that I'm willing to do the work. You never know how God can touch somebody's heart to help you, to allow you in, to give you the help that you need, to help you win your children back and get them out of that vicious, corrupt cycle of CPS, okay, and get them out of that darkness and bring them into the light. That's the reason why I named my organization Daddy Lights Ministry, because I see Daddy Jesus as my daddy and lights. We need to be lights in this dark world, and that's why I'm trying to speak light into your world right now. If it's dealing with CPS, there can be darkness. Okay, know you can win. Know that the best can still happen. Know that your children can still come back home. Know that the fight is not over. Know that God can still step in. I mean, at the last minute of the hour and turn that thing around for you, just like He did for me. You got to show Him that you trust Him, you believe in Him, you put Him first, and do the work. Why? Because faith without works is dead. You're going to also have to do your part, but trust me, I'm a living testimony. If you do your part, watch and see how God will do His. So I just wanted to come on again to encourage you and just know that the race isn't given to the swift. It's not, but God is not never going to put more on you than you can handle. He's not going to put more on you than you can bear. Just hold on to that. Make sure you keep God first. Don't you ever give up fighting for your children. They're counting on you, they're depending on you, and they need you, and they can't wait to love and see you. Okay, believe that. Hold on to that. I did, and guess what? My child was returned back home where he belonged, where I could do love on my child, and he's been home years since that happened. Okay. And I just want to tell you, please like and subscribe to this channel. Grace is a wonderful producer. She call if you want to share your story. Sometimes getting it out, speaking about what you're going through can help to heal you, bring clarity for you. Share your stories. You can call the number and speak to the producer Grace that you would like to come on, on this platform. Come on my show, the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. One of the shows is being aired. This aired 24/7. Chime in. Share this with somebody that's going through CPS. You never know what they're really going through when they're alone. And by sharing this segment, sharing this platform, it can give them hope and encouragement like never before. Attorney Vince has a show. He brings a lot of, oh my gosh, wisdom and knowledge from an attorney that knows how to fight CPS. He drops a lot of jewels and nuggets, okay, that you want to use, maybe utilize, even help you with your CPS case. So it's a lot of knowledge and wisdom and encouragement here to help you get through this process. Know that you're not alone. I'm praying for you. Know that God is more than able to turn that thing around for you. Please keep God first. Don't never give up fighting for your children. I am your host, Latrika Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a blessed day and a blessed weekend. Until next time, keep God first.